Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to show you how to host your own WordPress site from home with minimal hardware. You can use your own computer that's already running, that you already have on all the time, and you can host your own websites from there. Very simple, with a free SSL certificate so that your site is secured and it has a green little logo, and it's a real way to have your own websites from home.
Audio Jungle.
Okay, so today we are going to be installing the Windows feature Hyper-V, and this feature will allow us to run virtual machines, and we will create a virtual machine and we will install a hosting package on there so that we can host our websites. And there's a few reasons why I don't want to run XAMPP on my computer and keep that running. I'd like to have a VM, a virtual machine, running instead. The top reason really is portability. Having a VM in Windows Hyper-V is very easy to move around. It's one file that I could take and I could save it and I could move it to a different, like a USB stick, and then I could plug it in a different computer and I could just go ahead and use Hyper-V and boot it up on a different computer. So it's real easy for me to move the file around. It's not on hardware or anything, so it's a nice way to move. It's very portable. The second reason why I really like to have a VM running instead of XAMPP is that I can have a real hosting cPanel or virtual mail kind of panel where I can do a lot of cool editing or moving or like file managers and all that good stuff that I need to do with my website hosting. And as well, I can easily create and manage and add more websites. If I was to have 3 or 4 or 5 websites from my house that I want to host, I could do that all within this hosting cPanel or virtual min panel. And this way I'm able to add an SSL certificate too, which is a nice feature of virtual min. And the last reason I'd want to host my websites in a VM is for the recovery, of course. I can take snapshots of my VM when I'm working on it so that if I mess up, you know, I can just easily go back to my earlier snapshot and revert everything to what it used to be. And it's real simple, it's not hard, so it's like an instant snapshot. And yes, if you have it any other way, you know, your hard drive crashes or something, it could be really hard to try to get the system going again. But with a VM, you know, you just take the file and you can slap it into another computer and install Hyper-V quick, and within within half an hour, you know, your websites are back online and you're back in business. So that's 3 reasons why I'd want to put my hosting stuff into a VM and host everything on your VM on your home computer for free with an SSL certificate as well. So how about we just go right down to business right now and we jump on the computer and we get started.
Alright friends, so you're ready to get online here. You're ready to get your WordPress site onto the internet. So the first thing that we're going to want to do on our desktop computer is we're going to want to hit the start button here. And we're going to want to install some features. So we're going to go to features, type in features. And see here it says turn Windows features on and off. So we're going to click on that. And then that's going to come up with this little window here. And we're going to go down to Hyper-V. This is what we want to run our virtual machine. That's going to be our mini computer where we're going to be hosting our websites, where we're going to install some programs and we're going to get our websites hosting on there. So this is all done from my simple normal home computer here. So anybody has this feature on their computer. So Windows feature, open up the Hyper-V, and what we want is this Hyper-V platform. So we want the hypervisor and the services installed. So we're going to go ahead and click on both of those, or you can click just on this one here and it will do both. And then you hit OK and it will search for some files and it'll go ahead and install. So I'll be right back. Now I wanted to talk about something before we get a little bit farther here. You might come up with an error. I'm not sure exactly when the error comes up, if it comes up before here or when we go to start our VM. But if you don't have the option, and most motherboards do not have this option turned on automatically by default. This option allows you to create virtual machines to it's a CPU virtualizations, and it needs to be turned on in your BIOS. So if you don't have that turned on, which I'm probably going to show you right here, you need to go and turn that on, or else you won't be able to create the virtual machine and you won't be able to do our thing. So the computer needs to restart to finish installing Hyper-V. So we're gonna head and end this video right now and come right back. Wait. Before you restart, we need to go through something here. You need to remember something, or you might actually lose internet like I did. And then if you don't have internet, you can't watch my video and you can't watch steps. So I need you to watch this a little bit farther first to understand what we need to do in case you come back after restart and you don't have internet. So what you need to do is you need to open up Hyper-V after you restart your computer. You need to look for a program called Hyper-V Manager, and you need to open that up. And once it's open, you need to click on Virtual Switch Manager, and then you'll see you'll have two switch, a default switch, and one switch, but we need two. So the default switch, if you look at it, you'll see that it's on internal network only, and that doesn't work. That's why we don't have internet. So we need to create a new switch. So we're gonna go new network switch, new virtual network switch, click create virtual switch. We're gonna call it external, but before you can click apply, you might get an error unless you change another setting off. So what you need to do is you need to open your network and internet settings right here by clicking on this icon, and then you need to go to Network and Sharing Center. And then you need to click on change adapter settings. And then you need to click on your Ethernet network card or whatever it is. And you need to click on properties. And you need to make sure that this tick here is not done already, because if it's done, it will give you an error and you won't be able to create the virtual switch, as something else would already be attached to this switch. So you need to make sure that there's no tick here. And then you hit OK, and then once that's done, we can go back to Hyper-V and we can create our new switch. So I called it external. Make sure it's clicked on external here, and you have your right network card selected like this, and then you hit apply, and yes, and it will create a virtual switch for us. And now you will have internet outgoing. So now I should have my little logo here. It's going to change to identifying right now, and then it should say internet in a second here. And there we go. Now I have internet on my virtual switch. That's the external switch, and that's what we want, so we have internet. So you make sure you remember this or watch this before you restart your computer, or you might actually have no internet and then you won't be able to watch the rest of this video. Alright, so now you can go ahead and restart your computer. Alright, now that you've restarted your computer and hopefully you didn't have too many internet problems creating a switch, now you can go ahead and we're going to start a new virtual machine. So we're going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. And select next, and then we're going to call this virtual machine our websites. And it's going to be stored in the default location. Hit next. Make sure you choose generation 2. Hit next. And how much megs do we want? So it depends how big your system is, because you want to make sure that you have enough megs to allow to this virtual machine. So what you might want to do is you might want to open the task manager by right clicking on here and opening up the task manager. And then if you go to performance, you can see right now that I have under memory that I have 9 gigs available. So I can make this this virtual machine maybe with like 8 gigs, 6 gigs. I'll give it 6 gigs of RAM. So we're gonna use the calculator to do 6 gigs of RAM. See, 6144. That's 6 gigs of RAM. And then hit next. and then make sure you choose an internet, and which is the external switch that we created. Hit next. This is all good. Hit next. Installation options. So we need a bootable image, which is going to be Ubuntu. We're going to be using Ubuntu. So we're gonna navigate to Ubuntu using Chrome Explorer or Chrome, Google Chrome. So we go to Ubuntu. Oops. Ubuntu and download Ubuntu server, and we want Ubuntu server 18. Download, and the download should start. Okay, so the download is started. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to Hyper-V. Browse. Downloads. Should be Ubuntu. It's not quite there yet. I need to wait for the download to finish. Okay, Ubuntu is downloaded. Here it is. So select Ubuntu, and then we're gonna hit next, and we can hit finish, and this will create a virtual machine. And hit finish, and our virtual machine has been created. So now if we go to Hyper-V, we will see that we have a virtual machine called websites, which right now is in the off state. So before we get it started, we want to click on settings and make sure that everything is okay in here. So our memory is okay. Our processor is not very good. We want to boost that to maybe 4 processors. And it is running on the website, and the DVD drive is ready to boot, which is great. Network adapter is on external, and that's what we want. So everything looks okay right now. So we're gonna go ahead and start up the VM. So start. Well, actually I ran into a little mistake here. Actually, we're gonna turn this off first, or it won't start. So turn it off and go back to settings and go to security, and the secure boot, we don't want that on. Make sure you turn this off, and then apply and okay. And now we're going to start up our VM again. Starting, and then if we click on this icon, we should be able to connect, and Ubuntu should be starting. Yay! Reading the packages, getting Ubuntu started. So we're gonna go ahead and install Ubuntu right now onto our VM, and then we'll install our hosting software so that we can host our websites and have a GUI. Alright, so English, done. Ethernet card should be already selected properly. Proxy we don't need. Mirror address is okay. Use entire disk. Use this disk. 100 gigs. Yeah, everything is good. Hit done. Continue. Your name. Server name. Make sure you put in your computer's name or something. Like I'm gonna call it Phil's channel. Phil's channel. Pick your username. Password, and you're done. Make sure you install SSH, so make sure you select this option and go done. And we don't need any of this. Go done, and it will start installing Ubuntu. Alright, looks like the installation is finally done. So we're gonna go ahead and hit this reboot button here. Whoop. Reboot. And it will reboot. Alright, looks like our computer has rebooted and there's a bunch of stuff on there, but we're gonna go ahead and log in here with the password and login that we made earlier. And here we go, we're at our login prompt. So two things we're gonna do right away is we're gonna sudo su. We're only gonna do a few commands here, and then after this, all of the rest is click and point. So it's real easy and not too complicated, just a little bit. So we're gonna change sudo, we're gonna change user to the super user, and we're gonna enter our password again, so we don't have to hit sudo at every command. First thing we're gonna do is apt-get update. And then we're gonna apt-get upgrade, which is probably gonna come back with not too much. And then we're gonna hit yes and wait for that to update again. Alright, now that our update is done, we're gonna go ahead and download and install virtual min. So I want to change directory to the temp directory, and then I'm gonna want to download webmin by typing in this wget command, http //software.virtualmin.com /gpl/scripts/install.sh, and then we type that in, and it's going to go ahead and download the install file that we need. And then we're going to go ahead and type /bin/sh install.sh, and this is going to lead us to this installation script. And we're going to go ahead and run this, and it's going to want to install virtual min onto our computer. We need a fully qualified name, so we're going to put in host dot whatever your website's name is going to be, or your domain. But for now, for this example, it's going to be philschannel.com. And then it's going to go ahead and start installing a bunch of stuff. So I'll come back when virtual min is done installing. Alright, looks like our installation is finally finished. So it's telling us that we can log in at host.philschannel.com, but that's not going to work right now because obviously that address is not real. And yours probably won't work right now, but it's also telling you that you can log in at this IP there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bust out our browser. And we're going to log into that address that it said. And what did it say? Whoops. And make sure that you use HTTPS. 125. So 192.168.1.125. And make sure you put semicolons, and then the port is 10,000, alright? And then this screen might come up, but that's okay. And then we hit proceed and log in with our username and password that we made earlier. And remember me. Sign in. So we're gonna go ahead and do the initial configuration for our client, for our server management software. So we're gonna go ahead and hit next. And yes, this is all good. Hit next. Unless you're gonna run like an email, unless you plan on running emails from this as well, you might want to turn this on. But if you're just planning on running your server like for websites, then you can leave this off. So we're gonna leave this off for our websites. And again, this is the same thing. So if you plan on receiving emails and stuff at this address or this domain, then you can click yes, or else leave this on no. And Maria database MySQL, that's the one we need. We don't need this other one, leave that on no. And we're gonna set a password for this, for the MySQL. Hit next. And then it's a huge system, hit next. And then here's our priming. This doesn't matter because we're not going to use it anyways. Hit next. And then we're going to skip. I'm going to skip right now because it doesn't matter. But this is what you'll want to put in your domain name here for your website. And then we're going to hit next here as well. And now it's complete. And hit next. And then make sure you hit this recheck refresh configuration. It's going to do a bunch of stuff. Alright, the recheck is done. That took a little while. Now we can hit this. And we'll see that we have no virtual servers. But one of the first things that I want you to do, you got to click on webmin. Go to networking. And go to network configuration. Hit network interface. Hit this guy here, ETH0. And make sure to configure an IP address yourself. So static. And use the IP address that you have right now, which is the one that you logged into, 192.168.1.125, and the subnet mask will be 255.255. And hold up here, we're gonna find out what the subnet mask is. It's yeah, that's what it is. .255.0. Alright, and hit save. And hit apply, select an interface. And now your address will be static. Alright, so you got a static address of 125. So now we're going to create our first domain, and we're going to click on create virtual servers, and this is where you're going to enter your domain name for your website. So philschannel.com, which doesn't exist, but Phil's channel, put in a password. Nothing to do in here. You might want to turn some of this off. We don't need the DNS zone. We need SSL here. Make sure you turn on SSL so you can get free SSL. This is how you get SSL. Unless you're gonna send emails, you don't need this stuff. I don't use the AW stat reporting. So unless you're gonna receive email, like I said again, you don't need this. Webalizer, you don't need that either. Spam filtering, you don't need that either. And you don't need this DAV logins. So you don't need all of that stuff. And this is all good. You don't need any of that, and you just hit create server. Alright, so our server is created, and now we can go and install our WordPress install. So we're gonna go install scripts. Click on this WordPress icon right here. So install options. And we're going to use the database that's already made for Phil's channel right there, and make sure that you put it at the top level. We don't want to put a folder, a subfolder called WordPress. We want it at the top level. Install now, and it's going to go ahead and install. everything that it needs to install WordPress. Alright, WordPress has been installed, and if this was a real URL, I could click on this and I could continue my WordPress install. But as you know, this is not a real URL, so we can't click on that. But there is one thing that you need to finish off before you can actually click on it, and maybe it won't work because most people actually have a router at home, so you need to set up a port forward in your router to forward over to your port to your IP. So I'm gonna go to my router's IP. And I'm gonna go into my firewall here, NAT, and as you can see, I have a bunch of ports being forwarded over to my one IP where I'm running my websites. So make sure that you forward port 80. That's the important one. So you need to forward port 80 to your IP, which your IP will be different than mine, but this is what ours is. So I would forward port 80 to this IP address, and that's how my websites would come alive. So make sure that you do that, and we now have our website online, and that's all that it takes to get your website online. It doesn't take much, and as long as this computer is running, this website will stay online, and that's all that you need to do, and you got a WordPress server running now. So the last thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you go to your domain registrar and that you point your A record to your IP. So make sure that you use your external IP and not the IP of the actual server. So you need the external IP, so you can go to whatsmyip.com and we'll give you your external IP, and then that's what you need to plug. You need to plug that in to your domain register in under the A record, and that's where it needs to go. And once you have that in, then your websites will come to life.